Hi, Samantha. Thank you for agreeing to be a part of this interview. Uh, Currently, it is February 25th, 2023, and 12:12 p.m. I will ask you a couple questions about maybe your childhood and your life in America, even your path to America. To start off with this interview, what was your childhood like in Vietnam?
Um, well, I was born after the right when the war was ended, like 1975. So I don't have the pre-war experience, but I have the post-war experience. So um, when I know things is like when I was about maybe 7 or 8 years old. So around 1975 plus 80s, 80 something, 81, 82. That's when I know begins to know things, and that's why my family is a family of my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, and me, and we don't always live together. I was sent to my relative house to live because my mom and my dad are looking for ways to escape from Vietnam, because in Vietnam, what there was, it's not alive there. It's everything we do, we were like being watched because of our background. My grandpa was a landlord, and we are considered um, the Vietnamese term is tư sản or something like that, like people who has land and own slave or something like that, and have people work on the farms, and they consider that as we are tư sản. That means that I don't know how to explain the terms, but they hang up my grandfather when he was when way before 1975. So I have not have a chance to meet my grandpa, but that's what my dad told me. My grandpa got hung because he was a lord. He owned lands, and he pieced it out to the peasant who work on his land. So because of our background, our life in Vietnam are very hard. They watch us, and they watch us every move. And so our family plans trips to leave Vietnam. First started with my uncle, my dad's oldest second oldest brother. He escaped from Vietnam first, and then my dad's next older brother also used a boat to take his family from Vietnam. And so my dad also thinks that, oh, maybe it's time for us to leave Vietnam too, because it's not alive over here. Everything is so hard. We don't even have rice to eat. We eat rice mixed with yam every day. And there's no meat, there's no fish, it's just rice. And I remember life being very hard. And then um, while my mom and my dad and my brother and sister are traveling on a boat, so that the local officer, the Việt Cộng, knows that we are living on a boat and we are making a living there, so they don't they don't think twice about us, because at that time everybody who has a boat, who live on a boat, is considered a risk that they're gonna escape from Vietnam. So my mom and my dad, my brother and my sister had to live on the boat for like 2 years. They sent me to live with a relative. So after 2 years, we plan a trip. We plan it on that certain day, and then my mom come to my relative and pick me up, and so we escaped. That in March 1983 is when we do the escape. And so we is that, do you want to add more to that or no?
Yeah, I want to know more about your relationship with your family or your
Mm.
parents. What was your family like while you were growing up in Vietnam? Did you all live together, or it's open-ended? You can explain more about the dynamic.
Yeah. We don't live together. I live separately. I don't live with my mom and dad. Oh, maybe I live with them up until I am like oh, when I was small, I lived with them, but we have to we live I think the first 2 years of my life, I was told that we live in Saigon. That is Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh right now. And then at 3 to 5, we move up and live at Bình Tuy. That is that place is a forest where my dad is coal mine. He chop up the wood and he burn it in the like a ethno kind of thing. He burn it up, so it turned into charcoal to make a living. We live in the forest for like 2 years. Then after that, at 6 to 8, we moved down to Rạch Giá and live in Rạch Giá for like a good 2 part of my life too, up until I was 10. And that's when, you know, my parents decided life is hard. You know, there's no life here for the kids or them, because we keep moving from one place to another. It's not a stable life. And so that's why we buy a boat and plan the escape. And then the last 2 years of my life, I did not live with my mom and my dad. I lived with my aunt, who then I begin to know how to sew and stuff like that. But and then they are living on the boat, trying to think of a route, plan a route to escape. Yeah.
And I know that you said that you had to learn or you learned how to sew. Did you at a young age learn a lot of new skills to help support your family, or how was the financial aspect of your life mostly growing up?
Well, my dad, my mom have to make a living on the boat. Like they buy the vegetable or the furniture from the city and bring down to the countryside and sell. And then they buy the stuff from the countryside and go into the city to sell. And then also they want to make the route so many times so that the local officer thinks that, okay, these are really merchandise people. They're not trying to do an escape. So we have to pretend to be merchandise people. For me, because I stay at my relative house, my cousin who has a tailor shop. So she sold clothes for other people. And so when I live there, I have to help her out. I don't pay for rooms or whatever, but she took me in and I just help her out. And then she teach me a trade, because she says that this is a good trade to learn. So she teach me how to make pants and shirts and áo dài and a lot of stuff. That's why right now, you ask Annie, I make Halloween costume from all my kids growing up every year. I make a lot of things. I make window curtains. I even sew a school bag when I come to here and I don't have a bag. I sew a bag to go to school. That's how I'm pretty handy, because the 2 lives that I live, the 2 years that I live with my cousin who teach me how to sew.